So we know we can't prove that cause and effect will work every single time, but we know Hume has also said we can rely on custom and habit to still live our lives pretty well, right? We have no guarantees, of course, but things will probably go okay if we keep relying on custom and habit. Now he wants to tell us how to differentiate between belief and pure fiction. He says that we know we can believe in things that are true, we can also believe in things that are false. How do we tell the difference in our minds? Well, we have this unique sentiment, Hume thinks, called belief. This is what belief is. And so what is it? He says it's, quote, nothing but a more vivid, lively, forcible, firm, steady conception of an object than what the imagination alone is ever able to obtain. This sounds an awful lot, don't you think, like what Descartes called clear and distinct perception. This also, if you remember right back at the beginning, sounds a lot like how we differentiate between sort of mere imagination, ideas that we make up in our minds, versus things that we get from sense impressions. Right? Clarity matters a lot for Hume. Vividness, the ability to really intensely experience something is how we tell the difference. But, of course, we know that believing isn't certain. Right? Belief is just a more intense and steady conception of idea than we get when purely imagining it. But this means that beliefs arise from cause and effect. Right? How do we get these intense, steady conceptions of ideas? Well, they're cause and effect, right? The beliefs come from experiences of stuff in the world. So when I look out the window and I see a car, right, how do I get this intense, steady idea about a car? It's cause and effect, right? I saw it, and now I have this idea. So that means that our beliefs also aren't certain, but they are customary. So Hume's going to say, well, wait, what else works like beliefs? What else should we treat in this same sort of uncertain way? It ends up that resemblance and contiguity both connect this way too. Right? How do I know that one idea resembles another? If I think about an idea, if I picture a friend of mine, right, and then I walk into the other room and there he is, right? How do I know that it resembles? Well, again, it's experience, it's cause and effect. Contiguity is the same way. How do I know that my ideas of apples and my ideas of apple trees often go together? Well, it's cause and effect, right? I need to experience them. So it ends up all of our thinking depends on cause and effect. So how bad is this? Well, Hume's going to say, in fact, it's really not bad. In fact, maybe it's better for us. It might be better to rely on custom than to rely on pure rationality. So imagine, he says, that humans had no inherent instincts. What if we had to rationally determine the logical process even of how to do things like move our limbs, how to move our arms and legs? It's obvious, he says, that we would never have even gotten started. Right? We would have been eaten, we would have died of hunger, we would have just been destroyed long before we rationally figured out how to do things, right? Our instincts matter a lot. Our human nature matters a lot. Hume wants to say the same thing is true of cause and effect as was true of moving our limbs. It's too useful to us to have to go discover rationally, right? Having to do the logic means we might never have figured it out, and that would be a big problem. So it's better, he says, that we automatically believe in it, because then our lives go fine. They go probably even better than if we had to discover it, if it were out there to be discovered as a necessary truth. So what's the takeaway from Hume? Well, why should I rely on cause and effect? Because it's always worked in the past. So, and now here's our second question that we've seen before. Why should I rely on what's worked in the past? Well, custom and habit, right? Not because it's worked in the past, but because I have custom and habit. Here's our third question. Well, why should I rely on custom and habit? Well, it does seem to work pretty well. And second of all, I can't help it. The first response, though, you might be raising an eyebrow at, because when did it seem to work pretty well? Well, it's always worked pretty well in the past. And how do we know what's worked pretty well in the past is going to keep working pretty well? Remember, Hume shouldn't buy this, but he's going to suggest it here. You might try to make a forum post or give some thinking to why he can do this here and not elsewhere, if he can, or you might just say he's wrong. The second reply, though, is very important, right? I can't help but rely on custom and habit. And so it not only is it maybe better for me, is it at least good enough for me, but I can't help it. So I may as well embrace it, I may as well realize, but we need to remember that cause and effect is not 100% certain. This is the specter that comes out of Hume, his big skeptical doubt. We can rely on custom and habit, but the sun really might not rise tomorrow. There's nothing preventing that from happening. This is still sort of scary. And Hume just wants to say, yeah, go on living your life. Just assume it'll be fine. But at some point it might catch up with us, right, if we have no guarantees. This is, again, something we're thinking about, and I look forward to thinking about and hearing what all of you guys have to say on the forums. Have a fantastic week.